we start talking. And
Yes,
so
yes.
you saw Civil War tonight. So was I wrong about my review?
Not at all. I was at the edge of my seat. I I did not know which way people were leaning politically, which for a movie called Civil War, you would think would be a thing.
And did it bother you at all?
No, no, it didn't. I actually enjoyed it because I was like, it does like we're not worried or paying attention to
You weren't being
who's
preached at.
yeah. And I think when you find out right off the bat that there's a Texas and California alliance, I like I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what the director says. I think he specifically grouped those
Yes.
two together just so that you could not try and look into things. It's like, nope, the last two states you thought would be teaming up, teamed up. So shut up and enjoy the movie.
Right. Because you know whatever went wrong had to have gone really wrong.
Yes. It was just it was a really good movie.
Just so many people were just so upset that there wasn't like there were so many people that I got like just went back and forth with online that they just thought it was so stupid that there wasn't that you didn't know why. And they were like, well, why would I care about a movie about Civil War if I don't know what caused it? And I'm like, it's just I just can't explain it. It's not about actually, it's not about the war proper and the reasons.
right.
It's not. It's I forgot if in the movie again, it's been a little while since I've seen it. So I can't remember if they say how long it's been going on.
They don't say how long it's been going on, but they mention the president's third term. I would believe that it started maybe around that third term starting. So you could say 4 years, but it could have been longer, could have been shorter.
Right.
But there had been unrest
Right.
building up to it just based off different phrases. And I understand where people, Eric Voss, who love that guy, but his review of it, he towards the end, he kind of said that he was bothered that it didn't at least dedicate like a sentence to it. I liked it because it made it less about
Wow.
why they were fighting and more on the individuals, which when you break it down, not to say the reasons for war are pointless, but at the end of the day, the individuals are the ones that are really going
Fighting
through
it.
it and
Right.
suffering. And
Right.
I thought he just did an outstanding job
It's so good.
capturing that, and the characters played their roles
It's so tense.
so well.
And tell me, what's got? I'm gonna get his name. Is it Jesse? I can't think of his last. Is it? Nope. Right now, football's on, so all I can think of is Jesse
Yes.
Plemons.
The one guy with the red sunglasses. That scene with the
Jesse, and I can't think of what his last
yes,
name is. And I think it is.
Jesse last name,
I think
married to
it's.
Kristen
I think
Dunst.
it is a P.
Let's see if
Uh,
they all know how
well,
quickly can they all
yeah,
know
this
in
is.
Google. Jesse Punch? No, no.
Oh my gosh, isn't this terrible?
Clemens.
Yes.
Jesse Clemens.
But like I said, right now football's on, so all I keep thinking is Jesse.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
doesn't he do so good as far as just like
he
every
did
character
so
he does?
well for the 5, 10 minutes he was on screen.
And that's like
Every
the beauty about
movement
that
he
was
made.
nobody you came across in that movie. Like you would come across soldiers, you would come across, you know, just regular everyday citizens. And even through those interactions, you couldn't tell, quote unquote, who to root for.
Yeah.
Everybody was just it just showed that just everybody goes to their basic animal instinct
Yeah.
in a time like that, and that it doesn't at that point it doesn't matter what side you're on. Everybody is acting like animals for survival and cruelty, and oh it's just it just
Yeah.
it was
And it wasn't even survival because it got to a point where there were certain areas that you went to that it was really just cruelty.
Yeah.
I mean, all throughout the movie. It like and I think in their mind, they maybe framed it up as survival.
Or the town that was just pretending like it wasn't going on. That was how they were surviving at the moment,
Yeah.
was just, we're just gonna pretend like this isn't even happen, like, everybody had their ways of dealing, like, it just, I, for anybody that really thinks again that you need a side on this, I'm telling you, you don't need it. It's not, you don't need a right and wrong in this. You just need to see what happens in the realities of war. It is not
Yeah.
a, it's not a rah rah. We like, this is going to be so awesome and so cool because all we're going to do is kick the other side's ass. It is brutal and it's disgusting. And I don't care whose side you're on. It was just, it was gross and it should make your skin crawl. And it was like
Yeah.
the best anti war propaganda
Yeah.
because,
Honestly, the credit should have had Fortunate Son playing just to finish it off. Like I just yeah, it walking into it, I had heard your reviews and other people's reviews about it. So I was excited. I was excited to see it, but I kind of had an idea of what I was in for. But walking out, I was like, wow, that was heavy. And it wasn't, I think the part that really drove it home is it wasn't we're fighting some unknown enemy or, oh, it's
on
someone on the other side of the planet. It was like, no, this is like
in your
right
backyard.
here in your backyard. And it's not just military. Like a lot of this is just people.
Right.
And like that is, yeah, man.
That's what,
And then just seeing it through the photographer's eyes, I guess you could
oh yeah,
say, in
the
the way that
shots.
they were processing it, that was crazy. That was, I mean, just outstanding.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
It's it, yeah, it's not the movie you go in expecting to see. It is, it's jarring for all the right reasons. Like,
Yeah.
because I think people throw around just like right now, like if everybody throws around the word like enemy and we're headed towards a civil war, and I think
Yeah.
they throw those words around so haphazardly, and I think this movie kind of was like a good, like, pump the brakes on the hyperbole. Like,
Yeah.
this, you don't know what you're saying. We went through one like this before where brother against brother, and we did it on our own turf, and you can go visit the memorials of all
Yep.
these places, and it's not fun, it's not cute, it's not
They
somebody's more
didn't
patriotic than
glamorize
the
it
other.
the way people do on social media.
It's the reality of it is gross and
Yeah.
nasty and terrifying, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was it yeah. Anybody out there that hasn't seen it, and you need to see it on a big screen, I it's not one of those that I think would have the same punch. I mean, I think it's going to be fine streaming. I mean, see it anyway you can, but there was something to seeing it on IMAX. And like I said, there, I've never like I don't jump a lot of times when people are shot, and like I got like my jump scare reaction on some of
Yes.
those bullshit
Yes.
on those bullets. It would literally, you're wound so tight that when that shot would come, you would just jump out of your skin. It was,
Yes. And just, I mean, it the suspense part, normally when you're like looking at a war movie or an action movie, people, like you said, people get shot all the time. But the suspense came from the characters being in places that they didn't belong, in a sense of like, you're like, you shouldn't be here right now.
and or were
Um,
innocent, like that winter wonderland that they're trying to drive
yeah,
to. Right.
stuff like that. And it just it was the Winter Wonderland again, the scene with Jesse Plemons, like genuinely not knowing what his next move was going to be in that entire interaction. Every time
Yeah.
he turned his body, Every time he opened his mouth, I'm just like, oh, 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 because
Right.
you don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, it was yeah, that part where they stop for gas and
Yeah,
oh,
that too. That,
oh,
like, again, they are just passing through, but based off the conversations, the mannerisms, they were somewhere they shouldn't have been. People, they were not military people. As they came, oh, repress, repress. These were people that were non-aggressors going from aggressive situation to aggressive situation to aggressive situation. And it had, like you said, it had your stomach in knots. It had you at the edge of your seat, had you wondering what was going to happen. And I just, again, this is one of those movies that I like Dune, Oppenheimer, you go into it expecting
right.
like, oh, this is going to be a great movie. This is going to be movie of the year type of thing. This is one of those movies that you look back, it's like, yeah, remember Civil War? Like that one was a surprising hit. Like,
I think it should be up for whatever award it comes
yeah,
comes Oscar season. I think it needs to really be. I don't know if it needs to be like original screenplay, or I mean, like even like I said, I'd put it up for sound because,
yeah,
and I love the soundtrack because sometimes the music would be so light, it just again that kind of made you unsettled in the whole thing.
yes.
Yeah, it's
And then just them driving, because I mean, I guess that's not really spoiling the plot, but they're traveling from
right. It's a road trip.
Massachusetts to DC. And I mean, you've seen enough apocalypse dystopian type movies that usually as you're driving down, you get ambushed or something. So even
Right.
just the scenes where they're driving in the car and they're having a conversation, I'm just like, someone's about to get shot or something's about to happen. I never felt relaxed, even as they were just
Yeah.
driving through West Virginia or whatever. Because I'm like, nope,
Right.
this is the part of the movie where they get ambushed on the side of the road.
Yeah, they do a good job of that. Of when I think it's they, I don't know if they're in Pennsylvania at the time where they stop, and it's the town that's pretending like nothing's going on,
Yeah.
and then like because I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but like then like they enjoy themselves, and then are confronted with the reality of how that town is handling it, and you're just like, man,
Yep.
this is just all around. Now, did you completely changing topics? We'll see. I don't even know, like I should be timing this. We'll just do hand motions so when he
Yeah.
cuts. Did you see the finale of Shogun?
I did. I did. And I had meant to text you about it, and then I got caught up in everything else I've been watching. I finally started Fallout, keeping up with X-Men 97, but I really enjoyed it. I know it's a limited series, which bugs me because I kind of wanted just a little bit more closure on everything. Because, like, the whole season was building up to this great war and all of that, or even a great battle. And what was it with not Crimson Dawn,
Crimson Red.
Crimson, Crimson Red, yeah. Whatever, like the build up to all of that, and then in the final episode, it not really happening and you knowing like, oh, a war is coming in this and that, and then it ends. I was like, ah. But I still thought it was a phenomenal episode that had a lot of good closure. It wasn't my favorite episode, but it was still really, really good.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting choice for them to actually kind of end it peacefully. With the two characters having the conversation on the cliff.
Yeah.
Um, I thought it was, yeah, I thought it was I thought it was an interesting way to go, considering that like the character that he's based on did like I think like usher in I think it was let me get the years wrong I think like 236 years of peace or something like 260 like he ushered in an amazing amount of time.
Toranaga did.
Well, the character he's based on,
Right.
like
Gotcha.
yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, the real historical character that he's based on like is like ushered in like over I think like 200 years of peace and at that time in Japan. So to have like, and I feel like that actor in general tends to be, serious. I can't. It's like the more you think about it, it's like I couldn't have seen him doing like a huge epic battle scene. Maybe one because of his age. Maybe he's like
Yeah.
at 60. He's like no. um, but I think he's kind of cerebral, kind of actor to begin with, and I think
Yeah.
his like and the brilliance of him, like even at the again we're gonna call him Hogan because I can't think of his real name. um but kind of like when he even his confusion at like, well, what about the barbarian, slash Englishman, and his genius in the thing in the fact of, well, the whole time you've been watching him, he's not even the main, he's not he's like a look at this hand so you don't see what this hand is doing.
Yeah, he's
He's
like
like
he
he's
could
kind of
die
hidden.
and
Yeah,
we'd be fine, but he is so much of a distraction that I kept him alive and used him the way I needed to use him. And
right.
it
Even
was
for the
interesting.
audience, like you were so busy looking at him and wondering
Yeah,
how is he going to factor into it, and he didn't at all. Like he didn't at
yeah,
all, and that was like the jokes on you kind of thing. Like you were so busy watching him that you didn't notice that she was the one that, like he said, I sent a woman to do what an entire army wouldn't be able to do. So it's like, I think we're like programmed so much on, TV and movies and stuff like that to see some guy come in and, be a catalyst or, you know, the
yeah,
enemy or whatever. And he was all he ended up being was the actual like jester and joker because he's like, I just kept him around because he made me laugh.
yeah. He wanted to go back home, so I gave him a house and sent him a prostitute, and we moved on. Like it was that part. I like had to pause it, and I was like, "Oh man, like that was really good." Just um,
And that
yeah,
is
I
the uh I can't think what was the Englishman's, what was his last name again?
like in real life or
No, on the show. I can't think of what it was.
Blackthorn.
Yes. Like his scenes of him being in bed, um, as an old man, to realize that that's a dream of his. It was a dream. He was dreaming of what could have been while he was out recovering from the explosion because he has the rosary in his hand and he dumps it in
Yes,
the water. So that whole scene of him with the children is all a dream to him because actually from my understanding, I haven't read the book yet, but he has a wife and child back in England the entire time he's in Japan. So like that, because it confuses you because you're like, oh, he's this old guy now. Oh,
yeah,
so he's gonna live. Oh, because he's this old guy who's talking to his grandkids or his kids about, or I guess it'd be his grandkids about like what he did over in Japan, and it's like, oh no, come to find out that's a dream he's having
yeah.
of a life.
His it was his own what if series.
Exactly.
I just yeah, I thought the entire show was beautifully shot. Just the way they used the sets or the just the landscape and the dialogue was good. I really really enjoyed it week to week. Again, I wish I had seen a little bit more of what was to come, but what you're saying makes sense about kind of why they didn't. But I still recommend the show to anyone. I
Oh,
just tell them going in, like if you're not a fan of reading subtitles, then you're not gonna enjoy it
well,
because there's a lot of re
try to build up your attention and your attention span. Here, just
yes.
a little bit here, people. That's
That got me a few times because I would go to look at something on my phone, like
you
really
can.
quick. I would go check something really quick. Go, what is this actor from? Go pull up my phone. go to IMDb, look
And
it
if they're
up,
talking, you're
and then
missing
I look up and I'm like, no, I gotta rewind it.
like you can't. You got to pay attention
Yeah,
the entire time because
yeah.
yeah, you don't want to read it in dubbed and that, or you don't want to listen to it in dubbed. And no, but I think like he's again, I'm gonna blank on the actor's name, but Toranaga, he's so lovely to me. Like you can put him in anything and it
Yeah.
elevates whatever it is. Like, and the brother is made for period pieces. Like I know we've seen him in John Wick, and I know we've seen him in Endgame, and we've seen him in Bullet Train. So he's been in like these present day,
Yeah,
and but I used to say in Bullet Train, he's still dressed like almost like a samurai warrior.
he did. He
He
did.
just he like it's like you should have been born back then because you just look
You
like a
fit, you
samurai. But
fit the
I'm so
vibe.
glad to be able to see you now,
Yes.
like a time
No.
traveler.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I'm bummed it's over, but I also have a lot of stuff on the horizon, so I'm kind of
A lot.
I have a lot, and that's why I'm trying to like power through Fallout right now because I these video game TV shows are starting to get better. Like I thought Last of Us was great. From
Yeah.
what I hear, Halo season 2
Yes.
is good. Uh,
Yeah, I've heard that
Fallout is being really well received. Like I think it's
they're
only a matter of time
starting
till we get a
to.
Red Dead live action. But then we got obviously the biggest thing of the summer is House of the Dragon. Clearing my schedule for like that is priority. What are you doing on Sunday? Sunday evening. I'm sitting on my couch.
Right.
That's what I'm doing.
I'll have one if the Steelers are playing Sunday night, I'll have one TV that has the football game.
Yep.
I have another TV that has House of Dragon. I, and at that moment, House of Dragon's going to take precedence
Oh
because
yeah.
as far as social media goes, like nothing like you've got to be dialed in or
You got to be on it.
you've got to be on it because you will be spoiled. There will be like I love the people that are just like, oh, don't talk about it. I haven't seen it. I'm sorry, but Game of Thrones, House of Dragon, if you can't watch it that night, don't get on. Don't complain about it even the next day. Like you can't. You just can't. Everyone that can is watching it that night when it airs.
Yeah.
Like so if you don't want to know, you got to take a week. You just have to get off social media until you watch that episode. You just can't. Don't complain. Don't come to me. Don't complain
People
to
are
me.
reacting in real time, and it's worse, not worse, but you can compare it to like back when Marvel was in its prime, opening weekend.
Yeah.
People would be talking about it that weekend, but the difference is at the movies, you're not going to be in the middle of a scene taking out your phone like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Whereas at least you're not supposed to. But you know what, for these shows that you're watching in the comfort of your home, I will be texting in real time my emotions the same way, even though I was like 6 years late, the way I was texting you when I was watching the Red Wedding. Like
Yeah.
I didn't pause it and send that text. Like I was holding my phone up, watching people get slaughtered while I'm texting you.
Have you been on TikTok and watched people's watching at the
Yes,
same time?
I have enjoyed those
Amazing.
videos. It just,
And you
and
feel
again,
it
like
for them.
every time, every time. And like for me, it was just a little bit different because, again, as I said on a previous episode, being on social media, trying to avoid spoilers, because I knew one day I'd watch it. Didn't think it
Right.
would take me 6 years, but I tried to avoid spoilers, but I knew. I knew Sean Bean was toast.
Right.
I That's early on, even though he was one of my favorite characters in that early season. I knew that there was going to be a lot of blood and guts at a wedding.
Right.
Again,
You
as I was
expected the title to
texting,
be Red Wedding.
I expected the title to be Red Wedding,
You
and
were
I
like, well, I
expected it.
kept waiting for the Red Wedding
I
episode.
exactly, and
And
I
I was
was
like,
waiting for it to
well,
be like at a wedding. That like I was waiting for it to be at a wedding, not a dinner party or whatever. What was it? A celebrate? Well, that wasn't a wedding, was it? No.
it was I thought it was somebody's, was it one of his daughters marrying off to somebody else?
Yes,
Okay.
that's what it
And
was.
it
It
was
wasn't a
supposed to be
Stark wedding.
him. It was supposed to
Yeah,
be him marrying her, and the daughter was marrying
yeah.
somebody else. Right?
So like that caught me so off guard because I read the titles before each episode.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be like, Joffrey's wedding. Like, oh, okay, here comes the wedding. Some people are dying, like,
Right.
and it went off, and maybe like the jester died or something. I was like, oh, this can't be it. Like to this day, even though I knew at some point it was coming, I did not expect it right then. And that was again 6, 7 years late, but I was going through those emotions in real time.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's and you're the one where like being stabbed in the stomach. You're like,
Yeah,
that got me.
of all the deaths in the show, maybe getting your eyes gouged out was up there too. But of all the decapitations and all of that, I was like, that was the one where I was like, that
Too
one's a little
far.
rough.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because I'm like, oh yeah, wait. Yeah, wait till the
Yeah,
hospital again. You're gonna be tested on that several times. And especially
yeah,
always with a children. So
always, always.
not I shouldn't say always, but um the the first episode.
The Father's Day episode.
Happy Father's Day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's if it sticks to the books, yeah, it's
I need to recap the first season, which is why I'm
yeah,
coming up.
I think it's one of those things where they'll be, especially on HBO, they'll be like
Oh
pushing
yeah,
hard for it to like everybody rewatch it, count out your weeks. So you just got to think it's what 10 weeks beforehand, just
yeah,
and then they'll be if you have the actual channel, like if anybody has streaming, like it'll be straight. I mean, anybody has if you have Direct TV or anybody has whatever, it'll still be streaming or YouTube TV. It'll be on
yeah.
HBO. But yeah, no.
I'm excited. I can't wait. Last thing we saw, and I forget the names. I just remember a kid on a dragon getting killed by a kid on a bigger dragon, and then
Aemon
the
kills I don't know if it's Jaharis. Oh god, the names.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then what's her name could have ended the war right then and there, but she didn't want to be responsible, so she flew away.
Which is funny because like that's not really even in the book. Like she's not really
Really?
mm-mm, that's not really. Ooh, speaking of, did you not a book or did you see the new trailer? The new Deadpool trailer?
I did. Yes. I that one I can't wait. Marvel can't wait because it's going to make so much money. Even if it's bad, it's going to make money
Oh
because
god, yeah.
people want to see it.
I can't see it being bad.
Same. I
I
think
think
I bringing back the classic suits just mm,
yeah, that and I wonder if what what if anything will they retcon in the movie to
okay.
I mean because you've heard the rumors too, right? That
Yes.
of what they're supposed to be jumping into.
Wait, which one?
Like how like because right now they have they've got the sling ring portal it shows them jumping into how
Yes.
it's whited out so you can't see what they're jumping into because the thought is they've taken out that scene, they've taken out what they're jumping into because it would be so recognizable to fans that it would spoil it. So obviously during the trailer they just have them jumping into this white background portal.
Oh, like on Spider-Man No Way Home, when it was very clearly three Spider-Men swinging towards the villains, but they were like, nope, it's just Tom Holland.
Right.
And you see that one villain, I forget which one, his
The
face,
Sandman, I think it's like yeah, his or the lizard, his face being
yeah, he gets kicked
how
by
we
an
analyze
invisible
it
foot, and it's like, okay.
so much that night.
uh, just
But
looking at my screen so much for every detail.
they whited out the background for that.
Yes.
So you don't
What's the rumor?
well, one of the channels says that they think because he also the way he says, I am Marvel Jesus. that
bringing
he
him
is going
back.
to, they're going to go there, and that he's going to take the place of him, so that way his death didn't happen. So that way they
No,
can bring him back at any point.
if there are things that need to be, no, if you want to bring him back, just say this is Tony from Earth, whatever. Don't make death, deaths in shows, movies, whatever, need to mean something.
Sure.
The emotions I felt in that theater were
Well,
real.
look at what they're doing. They're part of that fight scene that they're fighting together, not fighting. Well, they might be fighting, opposing each other at one point, but then it looks like they're fighting together at one point. It takes place in that forest that Logan dies.
Yes.
So like they're not even respecting his death. I mean, they're not respecting his death.
You're not wrong.
No, I'm not
I
wrong.
am fine with certain things being retconned. I think that one is a big one
You talking about Tony Stark?
that,
Well, we'll just go ahead and get it out of the way.
yeah,
Tony,
yeah,
like Tony Stark's death in Endgame should not be touched.
agreed. I think that if they want to go back to, oh, I already forgot that show that really made me sad.
Secret War, Secret Invasion.
Secret Wars, yeah. You want to
Secret.
go back and bring Maria Hill back because her death was garbage? Go retcon that whole thing. Go take Gaia's powers away
Now
because now you
again,
have
that's
this
that's just the
infinite
rumor.
being.
That's just the rumor because of, like I said, the way he says I am.
Yeah, I mean,
That they're like,
it's
oh,
possible.
but I mean, like several of those things have always been wrong. But
It's true.
I am wondering what they're jumping into, because either Marvel doesn't want you dissecting what they're jumping into. It could be nothing, and they're just like, oh, we don't want you to dissect and like guess better than what we could have written in there, what we actually put in there.
Well, and that's the problem they have now is there's 32 different pages that are all dissecting everything.
Right.
Like you've got to imagine the writer's room is just like, guys, like, what do we do?
Yeah. So I'm wondering, or is what they're is the portal recognizable?
I think it
First of
is.
all,
Yeah,
why is there a portal?
Wong.
It's not the
It's gotta be
TV,
Wong.
but it's not yeah, because it's not the TVA.
No, but they are in
Time.
the void at one point.
Mhm.
So they're in the void from
Yeah, they
Logan.
are in the void because you see
So the TVA is very much alive and well and active. But yeah, adding a portal, I think if they are retconning things in multiverses or even just traveling to multiverses, it to me that makes sense that Wong or Doctor Strange would show up because they've been very aware. I mean, that one wasn't really a multiverse, but Thor was out and about looking for his dad, and Doctor Strange was like, "Whoa, you just got Loki out here." Like he showed up for that. I think if you involve multiversal travel or multiversal anything, one of those sorcerers is going to be like, "Hey, we kind of did a whole thing about this already," and Doctor Strange got a third eye, and Peter Parker and everybody forget him. So it doesn't surprise me that they would show up. It's just what are they doing that is making one of the sorcerers have to show up?
But did you also see the? I mean, I'm assuming that you saw the same breakdown that I did. That she's in the background of that.
Yes, I don't know.
I
I
know,
just
right?
I don't know. I
No,
just
and it's
I love these breakdowns, but I get so I slowly every now and then will like take a step back because I'll get so heavily invested into this 2 minute and 15-second trailer that I'm like, I can't do this. I can't wait until July because
we're
now you've
not
like
advocating for
got my whole
piracy.
heart into it.
We are not advocating for piracy from another country.
Right, exactly. Don't come for me, Kevin Feige. I'm
However,
just saying.
and it's because you want like you sometimes you want some of the theories to be right. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
wanting like
You wanting all three Spider-Men to show up. I
Right,
wanted that with my whole heart. So
right. And it's yeah, so it's like and I get and a huge part of me wants them to fix, like, I'm not saying they're gonna completely fix everything that's gone wrong in the MCU since Endgame, but I like, you wanna know that they've acknowledged it and that they're working on it.
will
And
they acknowledge the
and
big
I feel like
hand
that's
that's sticking out
too
of the
much.
sky?
What?
I said, will they address or fix the giant celestial that's just there?
No.
I think at some point Deadpool has to like look at the camera and be like, so are we gonna talk about the fact that there's like a
Right,
head and a hand sticking out of the earth
right,
that's just been there?
right, you feel like, "Oh,
We've
okay."
been so busy in Oklahoma with Maya and her family that we didn't even reference the fact that there's a celestial.
Right. I just and I want them to fix things. I want them to start fixing things with this, or like I'm all like also my fear is that they're going to be like, and everything that you know, everything since the beginning or since the game has didn't happen. You know, like I don't want them to do that. Like I don't want them
Right.
to be like, and Mulligan, you know, like, and we're
They
gonna
have an opportunity to fix some things, but it's kind of like movie franchises that introduce time travel. And I know Marvel's way past that point, but a lot of franchises or franchises, shows, whatever, are hesitant to introduce time travel because as soon as you do, you can now do anything,
right,
fix anything. So like they have to be like directors have talked about having to be careful when you introduce time travel. With this movie, you have an opportunity to fix things, but you don't want to waste the opportunity and change nothing. But you also don't want to, like you said, just be like, oh, Mulligan, nothing after Endgame matters. I think that to me is just weak. And like, no, you got to own
right.
some of it. Don't
Like you got to, yeah,
erase every like that. Don't do that, but fix a few things.
right. Like, or if you're jumping back into time, make it something maybe not like in game major, but like if you want to jump in and be like, um, I don't know, I don't even know like where you could like just.
That's what we
I mean,
should have done. Is just
obviously,
written down all
you
the
know the
things we
part
want
is that
them to have come.
they're jumping into whatever is current, whatever the current MCU timeline is. You know that they're I assume they're both jumping into like, or I don't know because I mean, like, is he the Wolver? Is he the? I mean, obviously, he's. What's the theory is that he actually is dead. Like Logan is dead, and this is another timeline or Wolverine because the one that was in Days of Future Past, he, you know, how he fixed everything
Oh yeah, 1963 and all
and
was
made
completely different.
everything that Fox has done with the X-Men, it made them all who they were all the way through old man, you know, the old man Logan. So that's the actual timeline. I think that they're, but I don't know. Like it's so confusing. It's so
Well,
confusing.
and that's the other thing. Whether they, I mean, one thing I had always said before Deadpool got involved, I was like, and I don't know how people will receive it, but I was like, you could honestly take the things that didn't make sense, and if you really wanted to, you could just say, oh, that was on Earth, whatever.
Right.
So we're just not going to reference it anymore because that, you know, Secret Wars and Maria Hill dying and this, and this. Yeah, that happened and people didn't like it. Well, guess what? That's not the 616 timeline. That's Earth
Right.
235. We're never going back there again. Don't even worry about it. But again, you get into a dangerous, you set a precedent and a dangerous slippery slope that like anytime anything's not well received, we can just push it off and say,
Right.
oh, that was a different Earth. It
Mhm.
doesn't count,
Yeah.
doesn't count.
We push
And
it off into
eventually
the
it gets old.
well, yeah, you push it off into the multiverse, and then what also happens from that is when you do have movies that you introduce now and you bring out current movies, people will wonder, well, how high are the stakes if it's not in this timeline? If you're eventually just going to brush it off into another timeline, then the
Yep.
stakes for the timeline that we know to be going on don't matter. Like it's not raised.
Yeah.
It's not, you're not focused on, and I find that because when is the new the Captain America New World, or new, it was a New Order, a New World.
Oh, I want to say November, but I don't know why I have
No, I
that.
think you're right. And that's like, again, like that's going to be weird. That's going to be weird to me because I, from my understanding,
2025. What?
oh,
Oh, Valentine's Day of
okay.
next
Well,
year.
I mean, okay, so I mean, I don't want to say soon enough, but I mean soon enough. Where like from my understanding is it's not going to be dealing with any type for like no alien um threat. It's going to be all political and like what it is. But I mean, like, so then what you're gonna
It'll be like Falcon and Winter Soldier
yeah, or civil, like, or civil,
or
civil,
Civil War. Yeah.
or yeah, or winter, yeah, Winter Soldier, or Captain America Winter Soldier.
Civil War went so far to not include aliens that they didn't even invite Thor to the party. It was like an Avengers movie without Thor.
Which again, they yeah, which is so weird because they would have been like, really, we're not doing that. I mean, like I said, I love the fact that even Tony Stark, or when she's like, what side Bruce Banner, like he ain't gonna side with us.
Yeah.
But again, it's going to be weird because you're going to have the point of, I believe, the point of Deadpool is to jump him officially into the MCU, correct? Because
And the X-Men.
right, and the X-Men, yeah, because like all of the stuff, like I'd love to know who's in that roadster with the flames, with the little
Yeah.
Iron Man emblem on it. Like there's going to be characters, like obviously from the MC, obviously, like I said, they're just trying to mesh all this together and kind of one, like, and boom, this is how we get mutants, which is going to be weird to me because, like, I haven't seen, again, it's a while, so it's like it's all speculation, but it's just like your mind just starts to be like, okay, so you jump Wolverine into the current timeline. That's great. Now, does he just pick out all the mute? I mean, like, again, it's just like
So Hank McCoy was
another
in
timeline.
that. Yes, you are correct. That was another timeline.
Was another timeline because she dipped into another timeline. So, and Xavier was in another timeline and his neck was twisted like a nerdle.
Oh, yeah. Turned into spaghetti along with everybody else. Oh, look at that. The Eagles pick is in. What are we doing? Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, there is a rumor.
We got an offensive
Out,
tackle.
is that what it is?
No, that's the Steelers got.
Oh, I was like, wait a minute. How are you ahead of me
Me and
already?
you are getting two different notifications.
Oh, okay, we get it. We're going to Brazil.
Completely off track. I'm going to wave my hands
Yes.
real quick. Um,
Yes.
I'm shocked at the Falcons taking Michael Penix Jr. because,
Right?
how, isn't Kirk Cousins, doesn't he have a 5-year deal?
Yeah, like you just paid that man.
A
And again, you
guarantee.
know how fans are, especially with his career not showing up in big moments.
And it's
I
like
think he'll get
guaranteed
a
like hundred something million dollars, isn't it?
yeah.
And now you've just picked up a
They could just put their foot in the ground and say, no, we are developing Michael Penix Jr. We don't care if you are leading the league in interceptions at the bye. Like, they don't care about the fans booing and calling for him. They could just be like, no, you are going to sit for a year. But after a year max, there's no way he plays out all 5 years with Michael Penix Jr. sitting there. Like,
At him being 24 years old.
yes. We got a
Yeah.
defensive back from Toledo, not a Georgia Bulldog. All right.
That was
That one shocked me.
I are you trying to put together a trade like are you trying to, or did you snap him up to put together a trade package to, I don't know.
Are they just acknowledging that
Kurt is old?
things might not work out with Kurt, and now like they paid a lot of money for him to potentially be traded or benched? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Because you had to have known before you signed Kirk Cousins that you wanted a QB. So why would you offer him 5 years and all that guaranteed money?
I don't, like I said, the only thing I can think of is that you do have your eye on somebody else, and your thought is, but even then, like then you would have just traded your place in the draft. I don't.
That one confused. I think that is my surprise
Yeah,
of the draft.
yeah.
Did not expect that one. Like, I think the first 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 picks, I
Right.
wasn't really shocked by any of them.
Well, they said there were 6 quarterbacks that went.
Yeah.
There's a first, and I think they said 12 was there so far. There's been 12 offensive. It's like the highest it's ever been. But this is the most quarterbacks drafted in the first round since 1983.
Yeah.
During the year of like Dan Marino and Jim Kelly.
Right.
So that one, yeah, I'm still trying to like. Did you say the wrong name? Like,
I'm just like, how is Kirk Cousins feeling? Because, I mean, he's getting paid.
Oh, have you looked at some of the tweets?
No. I missed a lot of them.
There's one where it's Joe Biden standing at the podium looking really confused, and it said Kirk Cousins after hearing.
I mean, he had to have made a call and been like, what is happening? Because you guys know how much you paid me, right? Like, that check's already cleared. So
Right, like, just so you know. Yeah, no, that one, yeah, I was trying to, like I said, I was trying to figure it out because I was like, well, maybe there, and it was like, no, that doesn't make any sense.
yeah, I don't. Maybe they think he's gonna retire within 5 years.
Guaranteed money, like, what is
That's the part that gets me.
that's the whole thing
Guaranteed
is,
money.
yeah, because even I was like, well, maybe he's made mention that he's not doing this after this year. Maybe
Yeah.
he's just been like, oh, I'm already just, I think overextended myself. I'm only gonna do a year, guys. But then I was like, that's 100 million. That's a lot of guaranteed money that I
We
I
need to go to
mean,
the war room and find out what was the logic on that one.
I they probably like, did they just make sure that like the Bears couldn't take another?
That was funny. There was a graphic of the QBs they've taken, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
I like I I'm not completely sold on Caleb Williams. I don't think he'd be a bust. I think he's a good quarterback, but I'm not sold on him. The same way I wasn't sold on Sam Darnold when everyone was so high on Sam Darnold. Something
And
about
he's okay, and he's an okay quarter, right? And right now, Sam Darnold's an okay quarterback.
yeah.
He's not, he's not a Burrow, but I mean,
He hasn't had a good location to be dropped into either, but I
But
don't know. I just see Justin Trubisky, Justin Fields, Caleb Williams. Like eventually,
they become
obviously you need a quarterback, but
quarterback graveyards. They're just like,
it really is like nothing like starting off your career at the graveyard.
right, like,
That's rough.
well, you're gonna stay here for a few years. We're gonna really
Yeah. And then we're gonna ship you off somewhere and you're gonna spend the next 4 years trying to climb back to what you could have been.
right, and
I
we're gonna
just
be really confused when we don't get a second round pick for you. But
right.
that's
Yeah.
yeah,
We'll
no,
see
that
what happens though.
so far. I mean, it's been like I said, everything's been pretty typical up
Well,
to
with
that.
all those quarterbacks taken, one of my friends said, imagine having the 12th pick in the draft and still getting the sixth best player at your position. Like you get your quarterback of the future, and it is the sixth best quarterback, which obviously could still be good, but it's also like if you're picking top 15, you don't want the sixth best player. You want like at least like top three at that position.
I get like I said, I mean, I'm not trying to rush through baseball, even though, you know.
That 14, I went to the game where
Yeah, I saw that.
they hit the walk-off. Goldschmidt got out of that slump.
He's
And I was
not,
like, you know what?
but you know what?
Maybe we're all right.
Have you seen everybody that is in a slump? Like I know, like around here, like by no means I am not making excuses for him. I mean he can do no wrong in my eyes, anyways. But that's neither here nor there. I will not make any excuses for him. However, the one thing that I always find interesting is Cardinals fans, and I'm not talking about present company included here, but Cardinals fans don't tend to. Well, I think maybe just baseball fans in general don't tend to take a look around the league and see like it's only just what is your team doing and that's it. Like like what do they say? Like NBA fans and football fans tend to kind of because a lot of times I would say with football is because you have fantasy going on. In NBA, like a lot of times people know the status of a lot of players.
Yeah,
Baseball, they tend to be pretty like in their own bubbles, their own city bubbles, and they don't pay
for
attention
sure.
like unless
For
something
sure.
is like really just out of the pocket, just strange, like the why I think if you don't know how bad the White Sox are doing right now, then you're just really not paying attention to sports in general.
Right.
But like Aaron Judge is not hitting.
Yeah.
Um, Ronald Acuna is not hitting. Was it Acuna? Isn't that he on the
Yeah.
Astros? Yeah, the
Yeah.
first, yeah, is not hitting. And like the Astros are like 9 games under 500 right now. Like, um, who else? Like, there's so many players that are like not doing great right. Blake
Yeah.
Snell.
But because we yeah, but that's very true. Football, and like you said, probably because of fantasy, but even in basketball, I don't do basketball fantasy, but you have your
An
finger on the pulse
awareness.
of the league and awareness. Baseball, it is
Your
very
team.
much what is my team doing, and if they're not doing well, everything's going up in flames. We're being left behind, and then you look up, and it's like, no, everybody sucks right now.
Like, okay, everybody's like, yeah, I mean, like the Diamondbacks who were just in the World Series last year, I think are 12 and 14. Like, I mean,
Yeah. I
technically,
mean, I know they scored 2 touchdowns on us the other night, but outside of that, they've been very average or below average.
and if you look at it again, I'm not making excuses for the team, but we're only 3 games under 500. I mean, like it's not like okay, so you could have there were 3 games that you could have won that literally you could have won and you would be and fans would be okay because they're 500 right now. Like
Yeah.
I'm not doing the whole again. No, I mean obviously there's something. I don't think the team obviously is in a hitting slump. Yes, that there's no doubt about it. I think a lot of players though started out. I'm talking about like league. wise started off pretty rough. I mean, you're always going to have those like standouts like Mookie Betts and stuff like that who are just phenoms that they're just going to overcome everything and just hit. But like most of the league has been like really slow to like get off the ground. I mean, did you even see like, okay, one of the Boris Ford, did you see that Blake Snell, did you see what his ERA was before
Uh-uh.
he got injured? 11.6 something. Oh yes. No, he was his ERA,
Did
he right now he's
not know
injured.
that.
He's injured right now because I can't think as I'm gonna get him and then Cody Bell because Cody Bellinger, one of the other four, he's hurt
Yeah.
right now too. Um Matt Chapman, who he's another one. He's like I don't even think he's hitting right now. Um Jordan Montgomery's doing okay. But like, yeah, Blake Snell's injured right now, but his ERA going into the
Adductor strain.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Is it's like 11.67. Am I like close?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know it was that bad. And I
So
had heard someone, it's 12:05 right now.
oh, okay. Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Your eyes are
Oh man. I did not know
that's
it
what I
was that
and so that's what I'm
bad.
saying. It's like it's by no means is it a criticism of baseball fans at
Right.
all. It's one of those things. It's like, okay, take a step out of Cardinals news right now and go look around the league. Like look around the league and see that it's like
Yeah.
that because he was the Cy Young winner. Yes,
He was.
yes.
He was that guy.
So right now, um, Kyle Gibson is a better ERA. Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn, and even I believe Miles Michelson, who is not doing great right now, all have. I mean, it's yeah. So again, Cardinals fans, every once in a while, take a step back, look around the league, look at who's doing terrible, understand that the stop being chicken little and that the sky is falling. Everybody has their own issues right now, you know. It just yeah,
Yep.
that one's a shocker. That one's when I saw what his was, it kind of helped put things in perspective. It's like, oh, okay.
It does. And like you said, it's not us making excuses because we want the bar to be raised. But
Sure.
when you look at the big names that are also struggling, and then looking at our team that is struggling, but
With offense. And I will say
yes,
that is one of the things that is easily those things can flip on a dime or
yeah,
flip, if, those can flip so fast because a lot of times that's just a slow start. It could be some people just don't bat well in cool weather. I mean, like there's always going to be those kinds of or there's just going to be people that just take a little bit longer to get off the ground and then they start finding their groove because of like adjusting to all the new pitches that pitchers come. I am less worried. Like if our pitching was as bad as it was last year, I would be like, this, whoop, we're in the exact same spot again.
yeah.
But pitching has been there's outside of a couple of our pitchers, we're actually okay. Like again,
3 games under 500 isn't terrible, which I think goes back to what we had previously said last week. Again, before we gave up 2 touchdowns to the Diamondbacks, that we could at our peak we could be a wild card team. We are a team that you make the playoffs, and
then luck takes over. Like
yeah, but it's not as bad as it could be,
no.
which I think it's important for us to say because we've been critical of this franchise for quite some time. So we're not asking for perfection, and we can take a realistic look at it and see where we're at, and
Right.
we can say, yeah, Like, it's not great, but it could be worse.
It could be worse. And the team, I will just say this. Having sat through every game of last year and watched it, the team feels different.
Well, we haven't thrown our catcher under the bus yet, so I mean, we're
True.
doing all right.
Right. Um, but the team seems, and maybe it's because you have the younger players, like you have, Herrera, and you have Ciani, and you have Wynn, and I know they just sent Walker down, but I mean, like, he's struggling, I mean, like,
Yes.
don't,
Not like last year struggling. He's actually struggling.
yeah, like he's hitting balls in the dirt
For as
at
tall
a
as
very
he
high
is and for as
velocity.
big as he
He's
is.
hitting them not, and like they say, ground balls don't go over the wall. So I mean,
Yeah.
like he's he's struggling, and but again, he's only 21 or 22. Like, who cares? Like, Jackson Holiday is struggling. He was 2 years removed out of high school. Like, it's what happens. That's what happens when, let's be honest, when you focus more on cheap labor, then you're going to pay a higher pay. When you rush kids out of the minor leagues because they're cheaper to pay,
Yep.
you only have to pay them the league minimum instead of, paying these high end guys. Like, yeah, this is what you're going to have. And again, I know everybody knows this, like Aaron Judge went back down to the minors, Mike Trout went back down. I mean, like, they did. It's fine. They're going to be fine. But I feel like the team, and I don't want to I don't want to give like all the credit to Newt Barr and Contreras, but I so enjoy seeing it's hard to find two players that are better hype men than those two. Like,
Yes.
I appreciate seeing them in the dugout every night, just genuinely so excited for whoever gets up to bat. And yeah, like, it just feels different. It feels like they're more hopeful, and
Yeah.
maybe it is pitching, maybe that does make the difference, that they don't feel like they need to go out there and press for bats and hits.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, it's still a long season. There are a
Yeah.
hundred something games to still go. So
Agreed.
yeah. So, well, I think we had how long were we at this? Well, a
Yeah,
while.
that was just over an hour.
Yeah. Well, see you again on Thursday, right?
Yes, this was good.
Always something happening.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'm gonna go try to see that terrible Sasquatch movie tomorrow.
Oh, you have fun with that one. That's one, even if your review says it's great, I don't think I'll be able to bring myself to go see that one. That one,
I'll just tell everybody on social media it's
I'll
amazing.
be watching
Be
your
like,
review, but I don't know if I
and
can
no,
bring
and
myself.
I'll be like, this is it. This is the movie you need to see. This is the movie this summer, just to get people just to go.
Uh,
Haha. No, I have no idea, but I've seen everything else at the theater right now. So I think that's the only one that I haven't, because I've seen Challengers already.
yes.
So
Yeah. Yeah, you
it's
have. Your
interesting.
reviews have been good.
Yeah, it's interesting. Next week I've got Fall Guy.
I will be there for that one,
I am
I
looking
believe.
forward to that one.
I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that. Actually, I need to go claim my tickets before they run
Fall
out.
Guy, and I think I have I know there's an Amy Winehouse movie coming out.
Really?
Yeah, it's called Back to Black. Shocker.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so I've got that one. Oh, The Idea of You, but I think that's an Amazon Prime movie.
Mhm.
Oh, but in a couple weeks is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I'm hoping they have a screening. Um,
You are a Planet of the Apes fan.
I am. No screenings for future Furiosa. I'm kind of bummed on that. But
Yeah, you were telling me that. That's unfortunate.
yeah. But,
What else?
you know, being here in the loo, we are drastically falling down the entertainment.
Yeah, I remember you and I think Tony talking about that.
We're dropping. We be
That's rough.
dropping. Yeah. All right, so we'll wrap this up and do this again next week with
All right,
sure
sounds
more
good.
baseball, more football, because
Yes,
2 and 3 go on tomorrow, right? Rounds two
yes.
and three going tomorrow. Yeah.
That's where all the steals come in. That's where you're gonna get all the guys that actually are all pro guys in the next 3 to 4 years.
When you asked me, like, what did the Steelers have? I was like 20. And I knew I was like, wait a
I
minute. I was like typing as fast as I could. I was like,
I
you're
was
being
just
at the
like,
20th.
what? Like
I knew
I
you
like
were
had to
there,
start looking
Paul.
up if just they pulled off a crazy amount of trades because I'm like, did you take our pick too? Because
Omar
we have a
Khan's been
pick in
like,
there.
he's been working like a maid. Like, we've got 20
Yeah.
in the first round. Just save it. We're taking all the quarterbacks. We're taking all the...
Did you get a center? Is that what they went with?
No, they've got an offensive tackle, which makes sense. I mean, they do need a center, but they have to revamp the entire offensive line. Like,
Yeah, especially with old man Wilson, and then obviously Justin Fields coming from a situation where he had no time. Honestly,
yeah, you don't need a
Wilson
big
and
guy.
Fields have dealt with that in their career.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's gonna be interesting, but
Yes.
yeah. So, all right, well, we'll sign off. Oh, you want to tell everybody where you're at?
Yes, I am at on all platforms. Will_the_beast with one L on Will because I am fancy like that.
Will I am.
Will I am
Yeah,
on all platforms.
all platforms. Yep. I'm about the same, kind of. You know, it's at holy_ELLE. Because everybody just says L and then they can't find me. Yeah. All right. So I will see you. Oh, I got to make sure I don't end this.
Yes. Nasty habit of hanging up.
I do. I do it to him a lot. Sorry. All right. Bye.